Hey everyone, it's the end of 2021. I read a lot of new novels this year. I reviewed about 140 novels here, some in a video of its own and some as part of top 10 or 20 novels. In this video, I'll tell you about 9 novels that I enjoyed the most. These are the novels I read for the first time in 2021. Some of the novels I've reviewed I had read long ago. Since they had no novelty factor for me, they are not included here, simply because I knew them before. So, these 9 novels may not be the greatest or the most famous ones, but they provided me with the greatest joy, awe, surprise, and intrigue. So I decided to share this with you good people out there. I have reviewed all these novels on this channel, so if you want to know more about them, I'll make a list in the description box for you. Okay, let's begin. They are in the order I read them, first to last. At the end, I'll read a passage from the worst novel ever, so watch to the end. 1. Hunger by Knut Hamsun. This was my first Norwegian novel, and what a huge surprise it was. Like me, if you like Dostoevsky, then you will love this novel. It's a bit toned down because we are in Scandinavia after all. It's not the cold of Siberia, but it's still freezing. The story is about a failed writer who experiences homelessness, poverty, madness, and most importantly, as the title suggests, immense hunger. My video breaks it down into 10 short points. Knut Hamsun is one of the greatest Norwegian novelists. The title great always comes with some caveats. No geniuses or great men or women are flawless. His flaw was his sympathy for Nazism, but he was a fantastic writer. 2. Baron and the Trees by Italo Calvino. We are in Italy. There is this boy who has gone up the trees and refuses to come down. He spends his entire life in the trees, just like our ape-like ancestors. In my video, I even made a pizza while talking about Calvino. Italo Calvino was like an amazing half-and-half pizza. I hope I don't sound racist here. Calvino loved 2 things, science and storytelling. In my video, I also discussed his book of 6 lessons for future writers, titled 6 Memos for the Next Millennium, which shows his method of using folk tales to tell stories of our modern age. 3. Man and the Sun by Ghassan Kanafani. This is one of the most heartbreaking novels I have ever read. It is so short a novel that it ends before you know it. But what an ending. Palestine is in the news almost every day. It has been for almost 70 years. This novel takes you away from Palestine and tells the story of a few Palestinian men in Iraq. It tells the story of the desert heat. It tells the story of man-made borders. It tells the story of refugees who are desperately trying to better their lives. It's a hero's journey kind of story that ends dramatically. It's like one of those Greek tragedies. It's one of the most beautiful novels I have read. The language, the atmosphere, the characters, and most importantly, the setting are masterfully done. If you have to read one novel from Palestine, then this is it. 4. The Bridge on the Drina by Ivo Andrić. Most stories are about people. Most novels have human protagonists. Well, some novels do have animal protagonists, but this novel has none of that. The protagonist of this novel is a bridge. A stone bridge that has stood for 350 years connecting 2 sides of a small valley. It has stood witness to the madness of humans for almost 4 centuries. It has stood to witness the crazy shit humans get into. It has stood witness to the immense joys and immense tragedies. It tells the history of the Balkan as a region. It tells the story of the East meeting West. A bridge that connects but also separates. A bridge that unites but also divides. The writing is absolutely amazing. The Nobel Prize was worth every penny. Not only this is one of the best Bosnian novels or one of the best novels written in any South Slavic language, but one of the best in the world. Andrić was a great writer and a great storyteller. 5. Zorba the Greek by Nikos Kazantzakis. This novel is beautiful, yes, really beautiful. One of the greatest novels about male friendship in literature. It made me cry. I don't cry easily. After reading this novel, you search for a similar friend, someone you enjoy being with, someone you enjoy listening to, someone who teaches you how to get women, someone who teaches you how to dance, someone who teaches you how to live your life, someone who is spontaneous, someone who lives his life like a jazz improviser. After reading this novel, you want to travel to the island of Crete, sit on a rock and watch the sun setting in the distance. The writing is beautiful. Yes, the writing is a bit flowery, but beautiful. It's a novel Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, wished he had written. It's a novel many writers wished they had written. It was also made into an amazing movie acted by an amazing actor. It's a really wonderful novel. I say the best Greek novel of all time. 6. Post Office by Charles Bukowski. Sometimes you read a novel and then you look at yourself. You read and then you assess your own life. You recognize yourself a bit more. You notice things you didn't notice before. You get to see the bigger picture. You imagine yourself stuck in a post office for the rest of your life, or any office. You do your best but still stuck. You work hard but you're still stuck. You begin to question there might be bigger forces out there. It's time you didn't take things too seriously. It's time you take a break. It's time you make some changes. It's time you live your life somewhat differently. This novel is simple and down to earth and yet so profound. The writing flows. It's snappy. It's quick. I fell in love with Bukowski so much so that I read all his novels. Then I dedicated a very long video on his life, philosophy, and 11 lessons for future artists and writers. I think it was one of my best videos, but not many people watched it. Who cares, as Bukowski's protagonist would say. I don't give a damn. 7. The Notebook Trilogy by Agatha Christoph. This novel scared me. It's hard to describe, but it left me somewhat speechless. It's a trilogy. All 3 novellas are very short. If put together, they make one novel. Each part is somewhat different. It starts very quietly. A mother leaves her 2 sons at her own mother's house. Then the 2 young boys take over the story. First you feel sorry for them, but they don't need your sympathy. They surprise you and then they shock you. They are grown men, but no, they are small boys. They have no sense of good and bad. They don't know morality. But they know how to act in a crazy world. It's all-out war. Life itself is a war. If you have to read one Hungarian novel, then you will not be disappointed by this novel. Actually, it was written in French, but the setting is Hungary for sure. The author was an immigrant. It is terrifying, extremely funny, tragic, all at the same time. 8. Max Havilar by Multatuli. This is a classic Dutch novel. A pioneer, to be more precise. It was the first novel to expose the darker side of colonialism, especially the exploitation of Indonesia by the Dutch East India Company. But that's not what I loved about this novel. It might have been revealing or shocking at the time, back in the 1850s or 60s. But now we know a lot and somewhat numb to the deeds of the colonial powers. What I loved about this novel is the first part, or the frame story. The coffee trader in Amsterdam, his language, his mannerism, his attitude towards others, and his overall aura. It's perhaps one of the most heartwarming part of the novel. You meet a very naive, pompous, and know-it-all man who you kind of fall in love with. Despite his many flaws, he is a very endearing character. Very honest, very straight. The second part, or the main story, is not as funny, but it's still important. If you have to read one Dutch novel, then you really can't miss Max Havilar by Multatuli. But in my video, I discussed 8 of the best Dutch novels in a span of 150 years, so you have plenty of choices. 9. Chronicle of a Blood Merchant by Yu Hua. I read a lot of philosophical and idea-driven novels. That's why I'm into Russian literature and French literature. But then you read a novel that makes a really deep emotional impact on you. You feel like you know the characters. You become like friends. You feel their pains really close up. This Chinese novel made a huge emotional impact on me. I think we often hear news of some cold-bloodedness from China and some ruthless capitalism growing in the country. So this novel shatters that stereotype and makes you understand the sacrifices men and women make for their families and loved ones. It proves that the greatest joy in life is not of your own happiness, but making others happy. The protagonist of this novel goes to such length to help his children and wife. even risking his own life on many occasions. Yu Hua has become one of my new favorite authors. Okay, these 9 novels made the biggest impression on me in 2021. Of course, I read many great novels, and I'm sure if I read them again, I might pick different novels. Who knows? Now, for 2022, I'll continue making videos about great literature and great novelists. But I will also continue reading the world. I still have some 130 countries to read. I hope to read more African novels. So if you have some suggestions for some great novels from Africa or other parts of the world, please send them my way. Now, my question to you, what were some of the best novels you read in 2021? Write your answers in the comment section below, and I would love to read your comments. Now I'll read a passage from the worst novel. If you really want to hear about it, the first thing you would probably want to know is where I was born and what my lousy childhood was like and who my real parents were. That David Copperfield kind of crap. But I don't feel like going into it if you really want to know the truth. Whether you think I was born in a wet market or in the bosom of a wet nurse or some mad scientist created me in a lab like some Frankenstein monster, what matters, I'm here. Bastard or not, I'm here. Ever since my goddamn birth, I had to live with these endless rumors about my origin and crap like that. I was bullied in school. I was bullied everywhere. You know what? Napoleon was bullied. Hitler was bullied. They didn't hide. Do you know what they did? They spread themselves by invading other countries. They built no walls. They invaded Russia. Their mistake. You don't go where cold is. The lousy cold. Am I angry I don't know where I come from? No. It's not about where you come from, it's about where you're going. Life is not about the past, it's about the future. Yes, people say my anger is because of my parents. Harry Potter had no parents, but he had aunts and uncles. I have none of that. Harry Potter sacrificed himself. Damn, did he copy Jesus? Dying to end suffering for everyone? Damn. It makes sense. Both were found in a basket when they were babies. My philosophy is a bit different from Mr. Harry Potter and Jesus. You don't sacrifice yourself to end suffering for others. You kill those who suffer. That's how you end suffering. Duh. Anyway, enough of me boasting. I need a beer. Thank you for watching.